Hi, it's Bevan James Eyles from bevanjameseyles.com. Are you someone who struggles with exercise and doesn't include this important habit in your daily life? Well, in this month's show, I'm talking to you. Keep on listening and let's get into the show. Alright guys, welcome along to episode 9 of Fitness Behaviour with Bevan James Eyles from bevanjameseyles.com. Your monthly podcast on all the behaviours that create a lifetime love of fitness and all the benefits that come alongside it. In this month's show, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I have to admit that most of the shows I do are about taking your mind and the behaviours around fitness to the next level. But one area that I've noticed that we're really not helping with is the person who's not exercising. So in this month's show, I'm really focusing all my attention on how to get people who don't have exercise in their life to include it into their daily habits. We can talk about benefits, but really, until they exercise, those benefits aren't going to happen. So let's rock and roll. Let's get into the show and let's do it. Here we go. I have this friend in the industry called Mid. Mid is another instructor that I spend a lot of time with going around touring and training instructors and stuff with. And Mid is this person who is full on energy and she just has this real ability to make people laugh and kind of be crazy. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying that about her. But one thing about Mid as well is she also has this deeper side to herself. And Mid and I are quite close as friends. And so we do spend quite a bit of time talking about things and having fun together. And a while ago, we were having a conversation around the fitness industry, and she was saying how really we are losing the battle. I didn't really know what she meant, so I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, if you look at it, we're really good at connecting with the people in our community and helping them grow, but realistically, we aren't helping the people who aren't exercising." It's got me thinking. This got me rethinking a lot because she was right. Like in my own little world that I have, I'm really good at touching people who are already into fitness and helping them progress further. But realistically, I'm not winning the battle with the people who aren't exercising. And we only have to point to obesity and watching the kids of the next generation, how unfit they are and stuff like that, to know that as an industry, my industry is failing. That we're not helping the person who isn't exercising. And I kind of wonder, well, why is it? Why is it that, sure, we have this one area that we're doing really well in, but why is it in the other areas that we're really letting people down and we are losing the battle? And I think about, and this is something I've known for a while, that we are losing the battle, and I think there's a few things that we need to talk about. And I'm going to have 3 main points I'm going to talk about in later on today's talk. But for now, there's a couple of things that I think are the reasons why. And the first is where my industry comes from. So the first is that I kind of see there's kind of 2 kind of instructors that we have in the industry. You kind of have the PTs, instructors, whatever, 2 types of people in the industry. And the first is the person who comes from a sporting background. So the person from the sporting background was probably pretty good at sport at school, loved sport to the point where they wanted to make a career out of it. So they went and studied on and became a personal trainer or a group fitness instructor or some kind of job within the industry. And then the second person is the kind of person who comes from a place of transformation through fitness. So they may not necessarily been that fit, but something happened in their life that helped them turn the switch on, and they just instantly went into a place where they're bringing exercise into their life, and through that love and discovery of self through themselves, they determined that they wanted to work in the industry. So what happens is these people become really good at fitness, and in doing that, they forget what it's like to not have fitness in your life. I'll give you an example. I think the real classic example is the trainer or the person in the industry who says, "Well, if I can do it, you can do it." And that's a real common thing you hear in the industry, and I know that comes from a place where people are trying to be motivational towards people trying to exercise. It's kind of saying, well, anyone can overcome these hurdles. If I can do it, you can do it. But the problem is that for people who haven't exercised, that communication is not helping them at all. Because if we think of a person who hasn't exercised for a long period of time, everything about exercise to them represents failure. What do I mean by that? What do I mean? Well, first of all, for people who haven't exercised in a long period of time, I can't imagine that they aren't aware that they need to exercise. These people know that they need to exercise. And at times in their life, they probably have tried to exercise. They probably have tried to, join a gym or go running or do a team sport or something like that. But they've failed. They may have tried it for a week or 2 and they've failed. And these people who haven't exercised actually have experience that backs up that they're a failure. That they don't just think they're bad at exercise, they also have experiences which justify that thinking to themselves. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, I wanted to go to learn how to water ski, pick up the skill set of water skiing, and I've never water skied in my life. So I go water skiing one day and I go out with some mates and go to the river and go water skiing. And when I go water skiing, the first time I try, I just can't stand up. I try to stand up, I fall over, I stand up, I fall over. After 20 minutes of trying, it becomes a little bit embarrassing, so I kind of walk away and don't try it again. A few weeks later, I go down to the river again with my mates, and now I'm starting to be a little bit self-conscious of the fact that I didn't stand up first time, so there's a little bit more pressure on myself to make sure I stand up this time. Again, I get in the back of the boat and I try to stand up, and again I fail. Then I try it again and again. Let's say I've tried it 5 or 6 times. Now, if I've tried that 5 or 6 times and every time I have failed, do you think I'm going to be confident to keep on trying? Or do you think I will shut the door on me being good at that experience? I'm pretty sure that if I keep trying water skiing and every time I'm failed, it's going to be harder and harder for me to try again. And in some ways, that's what I think our industry is doing. We're turning around saying, well, if I can do it, you can overcome it. But we're not recognizing that for people who have failed in exercise over and over again, that they feel like a failure, and that is justified because they have tried and failed continuously. And to me, it's not about them understanding how we think. It's not about people who have an exercise being able to understand that you can overcome these hurdles. It's about the people in my industry, the people in the fitness industry. If we want to win this battle, we've got to start to learn what it's like to understand what it's like to be someone who hasn't exercised in a long time. Excuse me. So today's talk, I'm going to be really bringing it, and from here forward, it's not going to be so much focused on my industry, but I'm going to bring towards 3 points for the person who hasn't exercised, and these 3 points can help you believe that you can exercise. And the first point I'm going to talk about is the point of the expectations you have around your lifestyle and including them in exercise. And I'm going to tell a bit of a story actually. I'm going to tell a story of my sister. My sister has 3 kids. She works part-time. She's mum's taxi. She's a busy person. For all the mums listening to this, I'm sure you recognize how busy it is to be a mum. It's such hard work. And a while ago, I got a phone call from my sister. And my sister must have got to that point where her whole life was about other people, was about, making dinner for the family, running after kids. And she must have just got to that snap point where she thought, I need something for myself. So I'm working away at my computer and my sister rings me up and she says, I'm going to join the gym. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, what brought that on? She goes, I just feel I need something for myself. I'm not exercising. I've decided I'm going to join the gym. So I'm thinking about joining the gym you work at. I work at a gym that's pretty close to her place. And so she goes, I'm thinking about joining a gym and coming along, getting the workout in. So I thought I'd just chuck some questions at her just to be inquisitive to see where she's going with her thinking. And so I said to her also, when do you think you can train in your day? And she goes to me, well, I probably could get up in the morning and, before the kids get up, come to the gym, do a class and get back and, and be ready for the kids to go to school and stuff. Now, there's one thing I know about my sister. I love my sister to pieces, but I do know that my sister is not the kind of person who's ever been an early morning person. She loves to sleep in. So the concept of her getting out of bed and doing exercise consistently for a long period of time, it's not that it's not possible, but it's definitely not the easiest way to include exercise in her life. So I kind of queried her. I said, really, Shel, do you really think you'll be able to get up every morning and, get up early and go to the gym and stuff? And she kind of conceded that maybe that wasn't the best strategy. So I said, well, then when else can you get exercise in your day? And she goes, well, maybe at lunchtime from work, I could quickly drive to the gym, do a workout, and come back to work. And so again, and I didn't mean to be a smart ass in doing this, but I was just trying to help her set some clear boundaries around what she was doing. And I said, well, how much time do you get for work? And she goes, I've got an hour. And how far away is the gym? She goes, oh, it's probably in the car, probably by the time I, get to the car and stuff, probably 20 minutes. So realistically, in the hour that she had planned to include, it was going to be 40 minutes of transport. And by the time she tried to have a shower and stuff, she could probably aim to get 15 to 20 minutes of exercise in. It realistically wasn't going to work. So then I said, well, how about after work? And again, as you can kind of see where I'm going with this, after work, she had kids, family, and all the rest of it. And even the idea of exercising after, the kids have gone to bed. She's tired, she works hard, and she has all those demands. And what my sister had done is she'd made a common mistake that people who haven't exercised do. She got to the point where she wanted to create change in her life, and she thought, I need to make this change, so I'm going to create a big shift in my life to make that happen. In her mind, she thought, well, I'm going to change all these things to make it happen. But the way she'd gone about doing it wasn't realistic to her lifestyle. I'll give another example. The personal trainers, this is something they'll probably talk of a lot, is an experienced personal trainer at least. Well, you'll get a new client and they'll come along to you and they haven't exercised in, such a long time, but they've got to that point where they want to create change. So they'll come to you and you go, well, how much time have you got to exercise, every day? And they'll go, I've got 2 hours a day. Now, an experienced personal trainer will question further, but let's say it's not an experienced trainer, it's just someone who's totally new. They'll go to the person, okay, then they'll write them up a program for 2 hours a day. The next day, the person will wake up and they'll realize that 2 hours exercise is just not realistic for their life. That there's no way they can fit 2 hours exercise in. So what do? Well, 2 hours is so unrealistic, they end up doing nothing. What does that do? That reinforces the fact that they're a failure. The next day they wake up, there's another 2 hours exercise in front of them. Again, they feel like a failure. And it makes it harder and harder to get back into exercise. So my first point is, when you're new to exercise and you're trying to bring exercise into your life, you need to be realistic around the expectations of time that you have on your world. And that you need to plan exercise in that is realistic to what you can add to your life. I would much rather someone come up to me in my first session I had with them and say to me, I can fit 20 minutes in a day, based on the fact that we know that they can do it. Instead of them saying to me, I can get 2 hours in, where they're going to go from, the next day failing straight away and go into my water skiing analogy, it's going to reinforce the fact that they're a failure with exercise, which is going to push them further away and they're going to get no health benefits from exercise. I'd much rather if someone goes, realistically, once the kids get home from school and my husband comes home, I could probably get a 20-minute walk in. What we are doing when we're doing that is we're looking at your life and putting realistic expectations on exercise and your timetable so you can fit that exercise into your life. So that's my first point. When it comes to including exercise into your life, be realistic around what you can fit in based on the real demands of your world.